Thank you for watching my first video. This can be the first of hopefully many. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my channel, and I hope you enjoyed the content that I'm going to be posting. So just really quickly, I just want to go over expectations for my channel. So the content I'm going to be posting on here is going to be things that I'm passionate about. People that know me personally know that I am a big fan of movies, video games, comic books, and just kind of lots of things. And that's what my channel is going to be about. So going over like movies, different reviews for different things I have an interest in, also comic books and comic book movies, just kind of comparing the adaptations to their original stories and what I liked and what I didn't like and how I would improve it. Various videos and things like that. Also branching into TV. So a lot of the stuff that's on the CW, for those people that don't want to buy into services like DC Universe or Disney Plus, I'll be covering the original shows on those services. So when Mandalorian finishes, I think by the end of the year, expect me to do a full review of the entire season, as well as I will go back and rewatch season 1 and season 2 of Titans and do a video for each. I think it's better to do that than the whole series, because then when more is built and there's more seasons released, it just makes more sense to cover season by season. And I think episode by episode is there's just not enough to cover fully, because then you're missing out on story aspects and things like that, which is why I will not be covering things like The Mandalorian or Titans when they release weekly. Instead, I'll just be doing the whole season. And that goes for all the CW shows as well. So the ones that are available for streaming on Netflix, I'll do it season at a time, because I think that's the best way to judge TV shows, period. So that's what the content is going to be about. I know some things that I want to cover already are like the Transformers movies and how they got worse over time and like what exactly made them worse. Because that's also an adaptation from something else. It's an adaptation of a cartoon, I'm sure, as most know. I may or may not cover The Walking Dead. There's a lot of disparity between the two, and toward like where the show is now, it's leaning more towards the comics. So I don't. Give me some input on that. Drop it in the comments, and if you want to see that, and I can definitely do that. I have the first 6 volumes on hardcover. So upcoming videos, I know the first one I'm going to do is a house tour. I know a lot of people that know Kara and I personally have been asking about how we're doing and things like that, and it's going to be our first home. Our apartment in Hawaii was not worth showing off to anybody, so we're really happy that we have our own house, and we really want to show people that and show people how we're adjusting to the move and everything like that. So expect that in the upcoming weeks, hopefully before the baby comes. Most of you guys know Kara's pregnant, so the baby's going to be coming. What else? Changing characters from the comic books to other media. I feel like that's an important topic because people don't really understand why comic book fans or people that have read comics have a problem with it, and I just want to share my perspective on that. Again, this channel is going to be like a passion project of mine. So things that I like are what I'm going to be posting, and things that I'm passionate about that other people don't really care about is what I'm going to be covering when it comes to things like that. So that's going to be coming. And I know there's been a lot of recent trailers coming out for all kinds of different movies. We've got the Birds of Prey trailer recently. We got Wonder Woman 1984 trailer coming out. Star Wars is upcoming, so I want to go back and cover all those movies and kind of how the new trilogy is not good and how it's gotten worse as more movies have come out. There's only 3, but there's a huge difference between the first and the second, and from what we know about the third one so far, it's not looking good. So yeah, just expect content. If you want trailer reactions, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards now until the movie comes out, or the movies come out. Also covering things like DC has recently announced their lineup tour until I believe 2022, so we can cover those movies and what we can expect from them. Last thing I want to cover before I bounce out for today is I want to go over some terminology I'm going to be using in my videos. So the first grouping I want to talk about is 4 terms, and it's how I describe people. So normies are people who like take part in media, right? So they watch the movies or they'll watch the TV shows, and that's about all they know about that kind of character. Whether it's Star Wars or comics and comic books, it's mostly what I'm referring to when I use that terminology. Basically just meaning what they know about the characters, what they've seen on the big screen, or in some cases, small screen. Casuals, those are some of the worst in my opinion. Those are the guys that'll go out and watch the movies, and if they don't know something, they'll just read like a 5-minute, they'll spend 5 minutes on Wikipedia to learn, quote unquote, learn something about a character. Fans like that usually don't do justice for characters when they're talking about them to other people and trying to hype them up or whatever, to go see a movie or a movie that's upcoming. They don't really know anything about the character. They just read some stuff and are just kind of like, oh yeah, it's some X, Y, and Z. They did something, you know, it's just kind of, it's incomplete knowledge, and it's not really doing justice to pretty much anything. And in a lot of cases it's wrong, because pretty sure everybody knows anybody can go onto Wikipedia and change something. So if a new movie is coming out, somebody could just, you know, jump into that article on Wikipedia and change it to sound cooler than it actually was. Things like that. And then this is the category I pretty much put myself into, the nerds. So I'm not out there buying comics weekly or anything like that, but I am going back and trying to find comics and stories and arcs, right, of older comics when stories were good. I have read a lot of newer comics and I really have a lot of problems with them, because whether it's just bad writing or it's just trying to push a message, I just think a lot of newer stories aren't that good. So I try to go back and find the good old stuff and stories that made sense and stories that actually had a purpose other than here's my political agenda, eat it, you know? So, and then there's the hardcores. Those are the guys that are fans until they die. They're out there every week buying their comics. They're supporting the franchises and everything like that, even if they're not doing the greatest things. Personally, I just think it's too expensive, because that's a lot of money. It's like $3-4 per issue, and then depending on what you're reading, it's either a weekly or monthly release, and if depending on how many titles, like you can see it adds up. So I think it's too expensive to be like that. That's why in the house tour you'll see I'm going to show off my collection, and it's trades. So it's issues of comics collected together in like a paper book. So yeah, those are the 4 terms I wanted to cover, or at least in that grouping of fans. The next thing I wanted to talk about really quick was a term that kind of confuses people that don't understand it in context, and that's canon. So when somebody says, oh, that's canon, it's referring to, like, if you wanted to talk about the Star Wars movies, right? Rogue One is technically canon to the story, meaning, yes, it doesn't take place in the main movies, like it's a side movie, but it is like, that is how those events transpired. So that's how the plans were given to Leia, pretty much. It's kind of a bad example. For those of you that watch Dragon Ball, many of you would know Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, that's one full story, but once it gets to Dragon Ball GT, that is not actually what happens after the Buu saga. Dragon Ball Super is. And that has different things to find canon. Another example, for instance. So, one of the big popular Superman stories is Superman Red Sun. That's currently being adapted into an animation by DC. So, in the main universe of Superman, he's the American hero. He stands for truth, justice, and the American way, and all that good stuff. However, in the Red Sun Superman story, he crashes in Russia and is raised as a communist instead. So he fights for communist beliefs. That story obviously is not canon, because that's not what Superman really is. It's just a side story, a what-if story, if you will. So yeah, canon just means like you can. How do I want to say this? Like, it's true, basically. Canon means it's true to the story or true to the character. So, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it might take place in the same universe as the Marvel, like, it might take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, there's nothing concrete saying, like, this is canon. Like, after I believe the second season, it kind of falls off and doesn't really follow anything that the Marvel Cinematic Universe does anymore. So in the upcoming Marvel movies, they're set to introduce like the Inhumans and the Celestials and all these other things. Or another good example is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how they depict the Kree versus how the Kree are in Captain Marvel the movie. So it's another big thing. I believe that's all the terminology I wanted to cover. Thank you again if you actually sat through this entire video and listened to me ramble about some stuff. And please, if you have any ideas for different things that I can cover, like if there's a specific video game, a specific movie, specific TV series, I am open to suggestion, and I'll cover more than just comic book things. Like I mentioned, I'll do Transformers and just movies that catch my interest, or any new releases that look interesting. Even if it's something older and you want my opinion on it, feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a direct message. I'm definitely open to doing that kind of stuff. And the same goes for like video games. I'm going to be covering, like every once in a while, I'll do some stuff on the mobile games I like to play. Because as I shared before, like this is like my passion project. But I want to share what I'm passionate about and my opinions and my perspectives and things like that. But at the same time, I'm hoping that you'll watch my content and you'll get curious about some of the things that I like, and you might give it a shot yourself. So when we're going through and we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, maybe that'll encourage you to pick up a comic book, and maybe you'll start reading some and you'll find another character you like, and so on, and just keep going and going and going. And then maybe you'll have some perspective on comic book fans like myself who either are very satisfied or very dissatisfied when a movie adaptation is good or bad. So that's my ultimate goal, and if you like what you see, just let me know. I really need the encouragement. I spent 10 minutes rambling into this video. That's probably going to get cut out. But yeah, a good solid 10 minutes before I finally decided to do it. So thanks.